Earlier this year I went to bed one night, and in the morning I switched my TV on and learned a new word. Newsreaders were suddenly obsessed with this new word. The new word was ISIL, or ISIS, or sometimes just Common or Garden IS. Apparently it stands for Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or if you're in a hurry, just plain Islamic State. It appeared that overnight this four-letter word was now the new bogeyman of the entire world. Run for cover, ISIL are coming. Who is coming? ISIL. ISIL? No longer do we have to fear Al-Qaeda terrorists. Oh no, we have new terrorists. We have ISIL terrorists. Where did the Al-Qaeda ones go to? Look, it doesn't matter where they went to, just run for cover because ISIL are coming. Okay. So what is ISIL, which appeared somewhere in the Middle East at some time during the middle of the night? Let's illustrate on a map. We all know about Iraq. That's the country the West invaded and hanged its evil dictator by the neck, shot his two sons dead, and in the process murdered over 500,000 people. 500,000 dead was a price well worth paying to bring down a madman like Saddam Hussein, wasn't it? We all know about Syria. This is the country that last year Britain very nearly decided to take military action against because it was alleged, yet totally unproven, that its leader Bashar al-Assad had used chemical weapons. This alleged chemical weapons usage was in response to the fighting which has been going on in Syria since 2011. This fighting arose out of what was initially a peaceful demonstration that commentators termed the Arab Spring. Geopolitical historian Webster Tarpley has said the troubles in Syria and other Arab Spring countries were created by Western agents, and that CIA and MI6 networks smuggled weapons and commandos into Syria to fuel a civil war. So let's have a look at this new entity called ISIL and see what it is supposed to look like on a map. Where did ISIL come from? I blinked and suddenly a whole new country is on my world map. I'd have to throw my atlas out of the window. It's now out of date. So just let's get a sense of scale. Let's put the UK next to ISIL. Now that's not bad. A country the size of Ireland appearing without me knowing about it overnight. They must have had porridge for breakfast. So where did it come from? How did it get there? Who is behind it? Can anyone just materialize a country the size of Ireland out of thin air? No, these are not just anyone. These are terrorists. ISIL, it seems, was created militarily by terrorists. And the best explanation as to how this happened, in my opinion, has come from Dr. Kevin Barrett, who said, "It is a bit disingenuous suggesting that the Assad government in Syria is responsible for arming ISIL due to buying oil from them. I don't know whether there is any such purchase, but the fact of the matter is that is obviously not where they are getting their arms. They are getting their arms from the deep state network that ties together the sort of unofficial real governments, not the elected governments, but the deep states of the United States, Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Israel, maybe throw in Qatar if you want to. There was a safari club that united the deep state apparatuses of these countries in the past, and something like it is still undoubtedly in place. So the US has two policies. One is its official policy, which is opposed to ISIL and other extremist Takfiri groups, which says it wants to hold Iraq together and so on. But the real policy is being run by the unofficial deep state, the government that has nothing to do with elected officials who are supposed to be in charge. This is a plutocracy which intersects with organized crime, and this is the real government of the United States. Unfortunately, we do not have a democratically elected government here anymore. We do not have a constitution anymore. So this imperial deep state has been taking US taxpayer dollars and probably a lot more CIA drug smuggling dollars. There is a massive drug smuggling operation. US military planes are flying heroin from Pakistan straight to the United States. Every day a plane full of heroin is leaving Pakistan heading for the West. The mass of profits from this are being used to arm ISIL and to do other secret errands of this deep state. So ISIL is massively armed and funded by what we might call the real United State of the West, which is an organised crime organisation, and it would be nice if the official government would stand up against it to implement the official policy for the region, which would be better than what is currently carried out by this organised crime effort. They have armed ISIL vastly more than they have armed the Iraqi government. So if Barrett is correct, and I suspect he probably is, the new bogeyman is ISIL, and has now replaced the ethereal Al-Qaeda as the enemy you now have to fear. Perhaps they decided that the fake terrorists needed a country of their own, rather than existing in the fifth dimension like Al-Qaeda. Part of the propaganda to catapult ISIL into the consciousness of the dumbed down masses are some very dubious beheading videos. How is it possible for the actions of one man in a mask to be able to start a war? If somebody commits murder in Birmingham, do we send planes over to bomb the shit out of council estates in the Black Country? No, we don't. We find the murderer, charge them, convict them, and then punish them. We don't kill innocent civilians. Recently, our puppet parliament voted to take military action in Iraq to supposedly defeat the Western-manufactured ISIL regime. They called all the MPs to parliament to vote on this issue. My MP, Dave Anderson, travelled down to London to cast his vote. I emailed him on his way down there, and luckily he replied to my emails whilst sitting on the train eating his bacon sandwich. What follows is my email exchange, trying desperately to persuade him to keep Britain out of these phony conflicts. Dear Dave, hope you are well. Just to bring to your attention my absolute disgust that the government are saying they are going to kill people by dropping bombs on Iraq. Please do some research into the founding of ISIL. It is a CIA, Mossad, Saudi fake organisation with American weapons. The beheading videos are fake with the intention to take over this region. You voted against military action in Syria. I hope you are not going to be duped by the rhetoric coming out of Obama's mouth. Their goal is a one-world government, and they are doing it by creating fake terrorist groups. Please see the lies being preached by Cameron and co. If you are in favour of this policy, please send me your evidence that these measures are necessary. I guarantee I can easily contend your evidence. Richard. MP Dave Anderson replies, I do not have personal evidence. I do, however, have the word of my friends and comrades in Iraq that they desperately need help. I also have groups like Amnesty International expressing their view about IS. They do not condemn the proposed action, but they do ask for action to spare civilian lives. I do not have evidence that beheadings were faked. I would be happy to see such evidence. Dave Anderson MP. I reply, hi Dave, can you show me the word that you are basing the decision to kill people with? You have the word but no evidence. Does it come from the same source that gave you the word that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction? Please can you send me the evidence? Please can you send me these words? Do the words come with any evidence? Amnesty International is an arm of the New World Order, another fake organisation set up by intelligence agencies. It is what is known as controlled opposition. You are being duped by a rather blatant Hegelian dialectic. Create a problem, the fake ISIS, get a reaction, the controlled media, and propose a solution, bombings, which is what they have always wanted, which you voted against. It hasn't taken them long to dupe you into changing your mind. I warn you, Mr. Anderson, the Far East is targeted by the New World Order after total takeover of the Middle East. Malaysia is first on the list, and I have no doubt that you and your colleagues will be voting to bomb these countries in 5 years' time. If you vote to support bombings, I will do my utmost to see you are not elected in the next election. Richard. Dave Anderson's reply. No, I can't show you the word, as I have had it in conversations with friends and comrades on who I would trust my life. These aren't politicians, these are decent human beings. Does he imply there that politicians are not decent human beings, whose families and homes were decimated by Saddam in the 80s and 90s whilst the West sat back? I haven't been duped by anyone. If I am convinced of the need to support bombing, it will be them and not our Prime Minister who I will trust. If that makes you determined to stop me being elected, then so be it. That's called democracy. Dave Anderson. I then send Dave Anderson a link to analysis of one of their beheading videos, and then continue. Dear Dave, Can you send me the statements from these decent people, please? It is important because it is what you are using to justify murder. Dear Dave, the so-called terrorists you are wanting to bomb are the same so-called rebels UK Parliament voted on supporting in an attempt to get rid of Assad last year. Can't you see it is all fabricated? They are all CIA Mossad sponsored. They couldn't depose of Assad because Parliament voted against it. Can't you see this is just an attempt to take over the same region in a different way? In order to make it work this time, they have created massive rhetoric in the media with the help of their fake beheading videos in order to dupe you. Richard. Dave Anderson replies, I am trying to make contact with my comrades, but even if I can't get a response for you from them before tomorrow, you can be reassured that I would not be saying this if it wasn't true. If I vote for military action, it won't be for murder. It will be because I have been convinced that not only is action essential, it is also legal and proportionate. And if I vote against it and ISIL carry on, regardless of who they are, won't that be sanctioning murder and genocide as happened in Halabja and thousands of other Kurdish communities in the latter years of the last century? What do you believe will happen if action against ISIL isn't sanctioned? He then goes on, I have been unable to open your email regarding the fake beheading as I am on a train and it won't allow me. I will at the least view it in the morning when I get to Parliament. Dave Anderson. I then go on, Dave, ISIL is merely an extension of American foreign policy, just like the fake Al-Qaeda was. Bin Laden was a CIA asset. This is now common knowledge. ISIL was created by the West to dupe its politicians into taking military action in a part of the world they want to take control of. When did you first hear about ISIL? How the hell can something spring out of nowhere in 6 months with weapons made in the West? Do your homework, find out where ISIL's weapons were manufactured and who gave them those weapons before you agree to murder people. ISIL is an intel setup. Dave Anderson then replies, so your answer to my question on what happens if we vote no to the people on the ground is what? Neither Obama nor Cameron are real leaders. They are both taking orders from a hidden group, a group which includes members of the intelligence community, the banking fraternity and the Council on Foreign Relations, none of whom are elected. This same group own the media. They are pulling several strings all at once in order to try and dupe politicians like you. Your highly esteemed colleague, Robin Cook, was murdered 2 weeks after he uttered these words. Al-Qaeda was only a database of mujahideen and fighters, and the fiction that Al-Qaeda was a coherent terrorist organization with Osama bin Laden at its head was a creation of the CIA. Even members of the Labour Party agreed with me that bin Laden was a CIA asset. ISIL is the same. Cook could see how world geopolitics was being conducted by creating fake terrorists such as bin Laden. Please be as brave as Robin Cook. Who made these ISIL weapons? Richard. So now you are saying my friend Robin was murdered? I then reply, absolutely. It is well known in intelligence circles that the preferred method of termination for an undesirable who is male in his 50s is an induced heart attack. They have had this sort of capability for quite a while now. Cook was a very fit man, an experienced walker. He was a real heavyweight, a real thorn in the side of Blair. Many people think Cook was murdered. I then send Anderson a link to the analysis of why people think Robin Cook was probably murdered. Needless to say, Dave Anderson voted for the bombings in Iraq. Moving on to the next manufactured issue they are using to create fear. It's Ebola! Run for cover! Here is a curious observation somebody pointed out to me recently. Remember the 2 black guys involved in the Woolwich incident, who were both called Michael and both had very similar surnames. Michael Ad Ibulajo and Michael Ad Ibolawe. I'll read them again. Michael Ad Ibolajo and Michael Ad Ibolawe. These guys are clearly from African origin, just like the alleged Ebola virus. Isn't it a strange coincidence that they both have the word Ebola in their surnames? Now, I don't think that's a coincidence. Why would they do that, Richard? Well, why would they put the word Ebola in those names? Well, I can only speculate, but perhaps the average person's subconscious mind associates those two names with abject fear because of what happened. The word Ebola, which is common to both names, becomes associated subconsciously with abject fear. Perhaps the fact they have the same first name reinforces that association. Now, assuming that I'm correct on this, what that illustrates to me is the fake fear stories to which both Woolwich and Ebola belong to, fake fear stories, must be planned years in advance. In one of my previous talks, I spoke about the phony bone of contention. Just to remind you of the Rich Planet English Dictionary definition, here's a clip from that talk. And I've actually come up with a couple of definitions for the phony bone of contention. Controversy and discussion over two seemingly opposing viewpoints is encouraged in order to divert attention away from a third viewpoint which is being concealed. Okay. Now, recently there's been a classic phony bone of contention planted in our media, and before I tell you what it is, I need to show you this clip about Peppa Pig. I've not mentioned children's programs, but obviously they do influence young people's minds. One guy voted for Peppa Pig. I didn't even know what it was. So I haven't got kids. Now, he said, I nominate Peppa Pig. It targets the very young and impressionable. Its creators are supported by Channel 5 and Nick Jr. So I didn't know what it was, so I thought, well, let's find out.
I'm Peppa Pig. This is my little brother George. This is Mummy Pig. And this is Daddy Pig.
Alright, that's enough of that. Right. Now, and he goes on to say, it promotes an attitude towards Daddy as silly, or makes out Daddy as incompetent at most things, primarily from Peppa, the daughter. This, I believe, eats at the true foundations of the relationship capabilities of father and daughter. I've had my daughter quote Peppa, belittling me for no reason, but with true conviction. It was teaching her and all little girls that their fathers aren't really that clever, always make mistakes, and generally are not a good choice for advice. It breaks that subconscious connection between father and daughter. So this is a guy who's really annoyed at these programs because it breaks his subconscious connection between him and his 3-year-old daughter. And here are some examples.
Gosh! Daddy Pig! You've had this book out for 10 years!
Naughty Daddy!
Sorry, Miss Rabbit.
Daddy, we don't want to get lost.
Are we lost?
Yes. Well, I can run as far as you like.
But Daddy, you can hardly run at all.
And you must remember to bring your book back too, Daddy Pig.
I'll make sure Daddy remembers.
What if I practice eating today, then practice running tomorrow?
No, Daddy. You need to practice running now. Silly Daddy. That's just a drawing. Poor Daddy. Having to go to work.
Oh, poor Daddy.
Come on, let's play. We've lost our engine.
Lost your engine?
Yes. It's completely disappeared.
I'd like to help, but I don't know a thing about engines. I'm probably just being silly, but this looks a bit like an engine.
Ah, yes. Where shall I put Delphine's luggage?
In my room, at the very top of the house.
Oh. Did you get the envelope?
He can't hear you, Daddy. He's on television.
Oh, yes, of course.
It's a walking, talking snowman. Oh, it's just Daddy.
So this has sold 7.5 million DVDs in the UK. It goes out in 180 countries. And it's certainly affected one father's relationship with his 3-year-old daughter. And it's probably affecting millions of fathers' relationships with their 3-year-old daughters. You have to ask the question, is this content being put in deliberately for purposes of subversion, as suggested by Yuri Bezmenov? Because one thing that he says about subversion is people think subversive practices go on in the background. No, no. They're always in your face, subversion. It's always in your face. Okay? I would suggest that is subversive. Highly damaging, in my opinion. Now, I first started talking about and exposing Peppa Pig back in July 2014. In September 2014, the mainstream media began highlighting a campaign allegedly being run by a Muslim man to ban Peppa Pig on the basis that it was anti-Islamic. The mainstream media's promotion of this issue then created the following reactions. Warning, there's a lot of swearing in these clips.
Right, but let me fucking send a message out to anybody that wants to fuck with Peppa Pig. Yeah, we're going to war over this one. You can take our fucking buildings and make them into mosques. You can fucking protest in our streets and call us cunts. Yeah, you can even fucking say you ain't gonna eat pork and you want your fucking hello meat or whatever it's fucking called, yeah? You start fucking about with our fucking Peppa Pig and it's going off, brothers. It's a fucking step too fucking far this time. Listen, just to fucking piss you off, we're gonna fucking put more fucking pigs on the fucking telly. I'm fucking lining up for a pig for EastEnders, definitely, mate. We'll have a little pig on the fucking square, and then we're gonna have Paulie the pig, a mafia-based pig fucking cartoon. It's gonna be great, that one, yeah? Peter the fucking pig, we're going to get him on somewhere. We might even have Chinna the fucking pig. Now that will be one fucking game pig, trust me, yeah? So, as I fucking said, you can take our buildings, you can take our streets, but leave the pig alone. Cunts.
That Asian guy that's banging on about Peppa Pig and how he wants it banning from TV, and I am starting Facebook group to get Peppa Pig banned and we are making Abdullah the Sheep or some fucking shit like that. All I've got to say to you, mate, is what the living fuck? Seriously, Peppa fucking Pig. It's a fucking cartoon character, man. My little girl has grown up with it. My friends' little girls have grown up with it, and plenty of people watching this, their kids have grown up with it. And you're banging on about a fucking cartoon, turning around in your video going, it's an abomination. And my son shouted to me that he wanted to be a pig. He wanted to be a pig now, but he did want to be a doctor. So fucking what, man? If he wants to be a pig, let him be a pig. If he wants to be a cow or any other fucking farmyard animal, let him be it. I am starting Facebook group to get Peppa Pig banned. We are doing Abdullah the Sheep. Fuck off with Abdullah the Sheep, man. We've got Baba Black Sheep that we can't even say anymore. We can't even say blackboard anymore because it's a fucking blackboard. It's not a whiteboard. It's a blackboard. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's getting beyond a fucking joke. Seriously, if you don't like it, not racist. If you don't like it, go back home where you're from. Go live in your little fucking shack. Carry your water on your fucking head because no one wants you here anyway when all you're going to do is moan. If you're from here,
carry your water on your head.
Or you move over here, live by our rules and what we want to put on our fucking TV, banning Peppa Pig. I've never heard of so fucking stupid in my whole entire life. Sat there with your stupid fucking turban on, going on like you're something special. This country, you think because we tolerate you, because you get away with so much that we tolerate it, we have to fucking tolerate it, but it will come. Never mind about the fucking another war happening with all certain Muslims, not all Muslims, certain Muslims that are banging on about we can't say this, we can't say that, that's racist, this is racist. I fucking find you racist when you're walking around with towels on your fucking head. So I'm telling you now, mate, if Peppa Pig gets banned, I will find you, I'll slap that turban off your fucking nut so hard, I swear to you, I'll beat you. You are not taking Peppa Pig off the fucking TV. It is a joke, an absolute fucking joke, man. Honest to God. Some fucking woman, poor woman, hanging a washing out, got beheaded. Because everyone's seen it on fucking Muslim TV or whatever it is, or seen it abroad, that Muslims are doing that. Again, not all Muslims, but some Muslims. It's a fucking joke, man. If you don't like the rules that this country has and the TV programme that we have, go fucking have Abdullah the Sheep back in fucking Bangiford, wherever you're fucking from. Go have it over there, because we want Peppa Pig to stay. We want to say Blackboard. We want to say Baba Black Sheep. It's always been Baba Black Sheep since I was a kid, and I'm 34. It's always been. So why is it changing Baba fucking White Sheep or Baba fucking Abdullah the Sheep? It's not fucking on. So you sat there, I make a Facebook group. I'm going to make a Facebook group to find out where you live, and if Peppa Pig gets banned, I'm going to find you, I'm going to slap the fucking turban straight off your head, you daft creating little fuck. Fuck off back to your shop, because I swear to God, I'm not the only one thinking this. We can't fucking stand you, man. You bang on all the fucking time. Don't like it, fuck off. If you live in this country, you're from this country, live by the rules and the fucking cartoons, man. It's a cartoon that this country has. We don't want Abdullah the Sheep. We don't want Ikram the fucking bear. We don't want Muckrat the fucking camel. We want Peppa Pig. Fuck me. Beyond a joke. My promise to you, Mr. fucking Patel, whatever your name is, if Peppa Pig gets banned, I'll find you. I'll find you and I'll slap you so hard. I swear to God, I'll knock you straight out of your fucking sandals. Rant over.
Now just look at this news item from the 26th of September in the Metro newspaper, which has millions of readers. Quote, couple thrown off bus and branded racists for singing Peppa Pig theme to a baby. Now it seems that after I had highlighted the subversive content contained in Peppa Pig, which negatively affects millions of families, the mainstream media decided to create a phony bone of contention about the programme, which was that it was considered by Muslims to be anti-Islamic. So they effectively manufactured a race war about the programme, intended, in my opinion, to conceal the real issue. The real issue being that one of the agendas of Peppa Pig is to break down families. So anyone who now voices genuine concerns about Peppa Pig will be countered by the camp that was created by the fake issue. Clever, aren't they? Now, on the rest of today's show, I talked to Tony Bennett about the fact that the theory of evolution, and it is just a theory, is now being taught as fact in schools.